Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So this is Chris from Cypher Signal Screen Time, and yes, this is another movie review. So I always have movie reviews at the weekend. So if you come along to my channel, there's a massive list of movies 2026. Obviously, if you want to go through 2025, would appreciate it. They're all structured, and if you're new to this, essentially the first section will detail roughly what the movie is about, and then I'll put a spoiler warning up and then go into the details of it so you don't ruin anything, but if there's anything afterwards. So this is the new movie, or movie that was released in 2025, was at the Cannes Film Festival, got quite a lot of hype. And now released in the UK in 2026. Apologies. It is Exit 8. So this is actually based off a game, which I didn't know. It's only an hour and 35 minutes long. There's nothing really after the credits or anything, so you don't need to wait around. Very small cast. So we have Kazunari Nimimiya as the Lost Man, Yamamoto Koshi as the Walking Man, Naru Asanuma as the boy, and this is directed by Genki Karamura. The director, he hasn't directed anything else I've seen, but he's been a producer on a lot of popular anime stuff like Sesame, Monsters, Belle, Weather and Review, so The Boy and the Beast. So he has a lot of interaction and had a lot of experience. This is essentially about it doesn't show his age. I would imagine in his 20s, a young man basically is put with the position that his girlfriend is pregnant and what to do. As he's leaving the train, he gets stuck in an endless loop, and it's him trying to figure out this endless loop of this kind of subway tunnel of him trying to get out. There he encounters a walking man and a young child, and it's trying to figure out how to escape, to then kind of how this will evolve his character, so to speak, in the real world. But spoiler warning up, and we shall get into it. So yes, so as I said, so we have the Lost Man, and that's what he's called. So he's a young lad, he's on a train, he's sitting there. There is a woman with a young baby who is crying, being scolded by a man. He gets off. In between this is ex-girlfriend, who we find out has been phoning him. She's pregnant, wants to know what to do. The kind of sound is crackling in and out because he has his earbuds in. They get knocked out at one point. And he's kind of saying, like, I'm going to work. As he's kind of going to work, and he goes up the stairs, several sets of stairs in the crowd, and he turns the corner. Basically, everybody then is vanished, and he's in this kind of hallway that kind of goes straight forward, left, straight forward again, and then it's kind of a replication of itself. Around the first corner, you have you have Nothing Gets Cleared. Then you have the main corridor. And the main corridor has several posters on the left-hand side, 3 doors on the right, and a fire extinguisher. And then you have a man walking down it. When you go left around this, you have a set of lockers and a photo booth and some trash and stuff like this. So essentially, it is rinse and repeat. Above it, you have Exit, this main corridor. And just before it, you will have, and as you start off in like the little corridor, so to speak, it tells you what floor you're on. It always starts with 0, and then there are basically a set of rules that says essentially that when you walk into this corridor, if there is an anomaly, you have to turn back. If you turn back correctly, you will go up a floor. If there are no anomalies and you go forward, you will go up a floor. So obviously you start off 0 and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time you get this wrong, so if there is an anomaly and you don't see it and you go forwards, you go back to 0. If there isn't an anomaly and you go backwards instead of forwards because you think there is one, you go back to 0. And it's essentially him in this endless cycle. During it, you get to see the Walking Man, and you kind of get a bit of his backstory, that he was kind of locked in there. You also get to kind of see a person that the Walking Man interacts with, and it's this young girl, and that kind of concludes to that she was lost in there or something, and kind of when you're lost into it, you get integrated into it for the next person. And then you have this young child. Once the Lost Man kind of comes to terms with the young child, because he has kind of a meltdown when he gets to the train. He has an inhaler, he has a bottle. He kind of loses his rag part of the way when he realises he's stuck in his, throws his bag and then leaves it, which I found was very weird. And I'll get to that at the end. But yeah, once he kind of goes on and finds the kid, he realizes that the kid is actually quite perceptive and notices stuff, so helps him navigate the floors. So then he kind of starts working his way through it. Then he gets to the 6th floor, and then a massive flood comes. As kind of the water hits him, he's then kind of sent into this kind of fictional memory scene where you have him and his ex-girlfriend and a young child. And basically the young child is in this scene is his son, and he gives him a shell. And when you see the son, it's actually this young lad that's within this kind of stuck game corridor. And yeah, so that is kind of realization. Obviously, when he wakes up at that, he's still in the water. He manages to raise the child to the sign, keeps him there to basically survive, and then basically he kind of gets dragged away. Then he kind of reawakes with the young lad on the 8th floor onto what he believes is the kind of ending. As he reawakes and sees the sun, there's a kind of floor 8, but it's a set of stairs going down. Which he's not quite sure if this is a fake ending or something. And he, as obviously we saw earlier, there was the walking man encountered a fake ending. He goes down his stairs, and then he kind of is tracing his steps back towards the train that he got on. When he gets on, he has his earphones in because he's still got his phone in it. And kind of he's talking to his girlfriend, basically saying, you know, like, I'll be there, you know, I'm coming to you, I'm coming to the hospital, I'll be there. Gets on the train, listens to his music, and then the scene replicates from the first one where the woman with the kid is crying, and the man is shouting at him. And during the whole process, he's kind of had a section that because he didn't step in, he doesn't believe you're a good father. And then you kind of have a very beautiful scene of where lights now are going across this guy's face, and then he kind of goes to move, and that's where it ends, expecting that he's matured. This whole experience has matured him as a person to step in, and this will lead him to be a good him to believe a good father for him to then go down that route. I suspect that is the avenue. What did I think of this movie? I rate this movie 5.2. For me, it's shot very well, done very well with minimalistic. The cutting and the splicing of it was very, very good. The really weirdness kind of had a very interesting nuance about the whole thing. Learning about the walking man and how they're integrating it, I thought was very clever. Obviously didn't know it was about a game, so I've never played the game, didn't even know about the game, so I can't relate anything to my experiences, not relating on that. The thing, or the few things that kind of are a little, for me, not quite clear throughout this whole story of him being a dad. It isn't the clearest experience from A to Z. It doesn't necessarily, because he mentions it and you kind of don't see him, you never really know if it is becoming a father. Plus, he seems to have a lot of issues in the first place, and obviously it's an ex-girlfriend, so you don't know. You don't know really anything about him. The only thing you kind of learn, he's quite a nervous guy. He needs an inhaler, which he then throws on the floor and then leaves at some point, which is, for anybody who has asthma or all that, would never happen in the first place. He has a water bottle he drinks in his bag, and he obviously would have had other stuff in his bag that he just throws and discards, which I found very bizarre. Like, if you were in that situation and panicking, obviously you would want to keep as much stuff on you as possible, because I don't know, there could have been food in the bag that he may have needed. How he won't know. Could be a pen or something if he needed to write a note. And I mean, the only thing he kind of keeps on his phone, but he's going down this panel, and at that point he's like, well, I'll just video it, or I'll take pictures of it and use that as references. There's even like one point where there's an anomaly where the lights on the ceiling, but he never once looks at the ceiling. And there's a few little bits like that. I'm just like, didn't quite merge to me. Now, I know there have been scenes and stuff that have been cut from this, and that if it gets a directorial cut, it will have other stuff in it that may be a bit scarier. I didn't find this scary. I understand it after the movie, reading a lot of stuff, and then, you know, knowing it's a game and knowing this is it, to understand the story now. But watching the movie, I didn't quite get that. It didn't translate to me as clear cut as it was. It just kind of said this bloke who's seems to be a bit of a mess, who's not having a good day, kind of gets stuck in this kind of device, comes out at the other end of it, but then he's not selling that he is very, it's not like, yes, I will stand up to you now. He's just like, I will meet you at the hospital, which doesn't necessarily pertain to anything. It could be, subjective, but actually, no, he's going to go there and tell her to get an abortion. For all we know, even though he saved the kid, it's a short experience, and you don't know how that would impact him from how the movie is based. And stuff. And this is where I rank, there are some, as I said, when he gets on the train at the end, and there's a beautiful scene of all the lights going across him. That's beautifully done. And I say there are a few bits that are done really, really well. I just feel that the lack of story, and even though it's nice shot, just didn't blend that where it wasn't too clear. And obviously it's based on the game, and I don't know how that relates as well. So as I say, that's why it's 5.8. It's worth a watch. There are a few benefits to it. I say it is good acting and stuff like this, but overall, I feel that if the story was a lot more clearer, or maybe the film was a little bit longer and it showed more transparency in that, and just a few little details, I think would have worked better. But that's about it. I do feel this movie, so this was shown at my local cinema. It was on at 9:15, so it didn't start playing until 9:45. I could hear one bloke at the back it was quite a crowded. One bloke was asleep because you could hear him snoring. I think having it very late of these sort of movies, even though it's only 15, I feel hampers the movie a little bit. I think if this had been played like 6, 7 in the evening, I think people can focus. I think because it's late at night, a lot of people, I think, are going to struggle to focus this. I must admit, I was a little bit like, I was quite tired. I didn't fall asleep or anything, but obviously if your concentration laps a few times in this movie, I think you're going to lose a little bit, even though it's an hour and 35 minutes long. But yeah, that has been my review for movie Exit 8. Have you seen this movie? What did you think? Put your thoughts and feelings in the comments below so we can carry on the conversation. Otherwise, I've been Chris from Sci-Fi Screen Time. If you've not already, hit that subscribe button, and I'll definitely see you in the next one.